Hello everyone, welcome to Community Force webinar. My name is Mehreen Mirza. I am going to facilitate this webinar and will be answering questions that you may have during the Q&A break. We are waiting for the rest of our attendees to join. So while we wait for others to join the webinar, let us show you how you can use this webinar to ask questions and access the handouts. Now, as you can see, there is a panel on the right-hand side of your screen with an arrow. Please use the arrow that is represented in an orange box to collapse or open the panel. Also, you can use the question area to type in your questions and click on send or enter. We will receive your questions and answer them by typing them in or verbally during the Q&A break. If we miss answering any of your questions, we will send you a response via email after the webinar. Also, a copy of today's webinar is the presentation is available in the handout section along with the title, as you can see here. Please click on the PDF copy by clicking on the title of the handout, and you'll be able to download the handout. This handout contains links to individual help guides, knowledge-based articles, and all of the information that you need to the corresponding topics that we are going to cover today. Also, you have been put on mute in order to avoid any confusion during this presentation. Now, since let's see, okay, since most of you have joined, let's get started. The topic for today is managing applicants as they apply. So you go live with your application, you clone your application, and you start getting applicants. So this topic is about managing your applicants as and when they apply. We have with us Christine Smith, who will be our trainer for today to go over all the relevant areas under this topic. The duration of this webinar is 1 hour. Now I will pass over the mic to Christine. All yours today. All yours, Christine. Thank you, everyone.
And thank you so much, Maureen, for that introduction. And so, of course, like Maureen mentioned, we're going to be going over how to monitor your applicants during your application process and how you're going to be able to see, where they are in that application process. Have they completed their applications? Have they submitted their applications? What's happening with them? And so we'll also show you how to see their dashboard and see their a preview of their application forms. If you have staff sections, how to complete those staff sections along with request sections, how you can see who the nominees are. And then, of course, there's also times where you're going to need to be able to release a completed section. So the application's been submitted. Of course, you might have that lock after submit. So once they submit it, maybe you're looking through a few things and you need to release it back to them to complete. So we'll talk to you about how to do that as well. And then also just some nice little reporting areas that we have. So again, who's going to benefit from the webinar? That's going to be any of you administrators who are monitoring your applicants when they apply, and then reviewing those completed applicants upon their application being completed and submitted. So some of the topics we're going to cover, we're going to talk about the application graph. What is that and how is it usually used? And then the manage applicants. From the manage applicant screen, that's what we'll be focusing most of our attention on today. That's where you're going to view the applicants. You're going to access any attachments to those applications. That's where you're going to complete staff sections. That's where you're going to see the request sections and who is the applicant nominated on those request sections. Status and status details, we'll touch on what those are and how those flow through your process. And then, of course, once the application process is over, you might want to create a PDF of an application form, or you might want to be able to do like a whole group of them. So we'll talk about how to get PDFs of your application form along with the attached documents. Then we'll take a quick break, and then Maureen will answer any questions that you've entered in the question box. And then we'll move on after that. We'll move on with the section release, the section status report, the global manage applicants, the recommender report, and then the global search for applicants. So just some key little reporting areas. And then we'll conclude and look at any other questions that may have arose during the second half of the session, and Maureen will answer those as well. So let's go ahead and get started with our first topic then. That first topic is going to be the application graph. So the application graph is a tool that we've developed for you to be able to see a quick big picture graph. Like maybe you have someone in your organization, they want to, maybe your board of directors or something, they want to know, how many, what's the status of all of our applicants? How many are pending? How many have submitted? What's in committee review? That's what the application graph does, is it gives you a nice little detailed graph of what's going on with your current applicants. So I'm going to go to the site here. And I am on a scholarship site, so if you are a grant user, don't be alarmed. It is going to be the same functionality, whether you're a scholarship user or a grant user. If there's anything that's a little different, maybe a screen, maybe you're going to maybe see something a little different as a grant user, I will jump to the grant site. You can see I have it here to where we can jump to that so you can kind of see the difference. But the functionality and everything that we go to today is going to be the same, whether you're a scholarship platform user or a grant platform user. So with the application graph, so when you log in and you're on the home page as an administrator, this is an administration functionality. When you're looking at your application forms on that home page, if you click on the number over here, this is the quickest way to get to the graph. So if I click on that number, once you're there, you'll see the graph, and you can actually drill down on the status or status details. The different types of graph, you can have it be a column, you can have it be a donut. We have the ability to be a pie. So that's just kind of shows you what it does. It shows you the different statuses and what's the grouping of that status. And then of course, if you're using status details, which I don't have any on my site at the moment, but here you can see, okay, what's some of them that are in your status details. So that's the application graph. And of course, if you're someplace else on the site and you want to jump to it, then all you need to do is click on the application form. You'll come to this drop-down menu here, and there is an actual drop-down menu item that you can click on to get to that graph as well. So if you're navigating through some of these other areas, then you can go back to the Manage Applications menu, and then it'll be located there also. So now that your applicants are applying, so they're applying and you're wanting to see what's happening with those applications, the main area that you monitor applicants is going to be in what's called the Manage Applicants report. And so this allows you to be able to see where they're at in the process. And so to get to the Manage Applications tab, there's a couple different ways you can do that as well. So since I'm here in the graph, I'm just going to show you, if I wanted to, I could drill down. So this gives me my quick overview, but if I wanted to, I could actually click on one of the numbers that are available here. There's drill down. I can click on that, and that will take me to the Manage Applicants screen. Or if I'm on the home page and I'm looking at my applications, instead of clicking the number over here, I just click on the actual application name, and that will take me directly to the Manage Applicants screen. And then of course, also if you're someplace else in the one of these menus here, all you have to do is just jump back here to the Manage Applications tab, and then you'll see there's a tab here for Manage Applicants in that drop-down menu. So that's some of the ways to get to that. Now, once you get to this is a nice report. It kind of gives you a nice big overview of all of your applicants that are currently applying, where they are in the process, as well as there are certain functionalities you can do from this screen as well. We won't get into all of them because some of them are additional trainings that we provide. But for the basic knowledge of what you're seeing here on this screen is you're going to be able to, once you start scoring applicants, you're going to be able to access that score sheet. Of course, I don't have any on this one since it's a new application form. Applicants are applying, but you'll have the ability to get to the score sheet. You're going to be able to see the applicant's email. So this applicant name and this applicant email, that's their profile that they created, or you created, whoever created their login account. This is what that information is. This isn't any fields that you've entered in your application form. This is the actual login profile that they've created on the site. So don't get the two confused. So this is actually how they've created their user account. And of course, if you have an external ID, maybe you're integrating with an external third-party site coming into Community Force, you have that ability to see that. Once an applicant is submitted, you'll be able to see the date and time that they submitted that application form, and then the current status, the status details. So where are they in that process? I'll touch on what the individual statuses are here a little bit further on in our session today. Tuition date, if you're using that specific field, that's a special question type that if you use that question, tuition question type, it'll show you the date that that tuition is due. The release is going to come into play when we do the release section. Notification. So anytime you send a notification from the site, you physically send it. It's not one of the automatic emails, but it's one where you as an admin are physically clicking their name, clicking the notify button. It'll give you the last date of your notification that you've sent to that individual. And then of course, these are the comments on anything, like if you've done different things that have comments, those will show you the last known comments as well, which you'll actually see that today being populated in some of the functionality that we do in our session. And then the requested received, that works in relationship to the request sections, which we'll get into that a little bit further. I mean, if you have a monetary amount tied to your application form, you'll be able to see if they've paid it and then the date that they've paid it. And then this lovely little icon right here, this is one we want you to use caution, because if this little button is hit, that's the trash. That means you're deleting their application form. So once you delete an application form, it's completely gone. It's gone off of their side. It's gone off of your side. So this is something you want to use with very much caution, because you do not want to delete that applicant's application form. So that's pretty much what you're seeing on the Manage Applicant screen. If you want to find a specific applicant, you can always hit the search and search by their name or their email or your external ID if you're using that. So just so you know, that functionality is there as well. So then that brings us to the next topic of viewing the applicant's application. So now the applicant's applied. What do I see? I see names on that screen, but how do I get to their actual application? So if we go back to the site here, so here you're seeing their information. Now, if I jump to the grant site, it's going to be just a little bit different here. I do want to show you the difference here. On the grant site, of course, you're going to be, since grants are by organization, you're going to be seeing the organization name, and that's what you're going to be clicking on to get access to their applications and their dashboards. Um, of course, you'll still be able to see who the applicant was and their email, but you're going to be diving in using the organization, because that's the key individual. That's the key. It's the organization, not the individual that's applying. So that's about the only difference here, is that's what you're going to be clicking instead of clicking on the names. So if I go back to the scholarship site, I'm going to click on the name here. When I click on the name, and the same with you grant users, that's going to be your organization name. It's going to give me a nice preview or a summary of their entire application form by section, of course. And then, of course, if I want to not see everything, I can always go here and I can click on the title, and that will collapse everything. And then also I have the ability to take, and I can print this. So if I wanted a printed physical copy of this, I could actually print this out and then have this. Now, one word of caution, if you are printing this form, if you have collapsed some of those fields, when you hit print, it will only give you what is expanded. It won't give you the collapsed items. So you do want to make sure, if you want everything, to make sure and hit this expand all, and then that'll give you the printout of everything. Otherwise, if you collapsed some of them, it won't give you all of the details, just the ones that are actually expanded at the time you print. So that's the application summary. Now, to get to the dashboard, you have a little icon right here that says View Applicant Dashboard. So if I click on that, you are actually going to go to the screen that is very similar to what the applicant is completing. So here's their dashboard. There's their instructions. Here's all the sections that they've completed. Now you're an admin, so don't be alarmed. So I see all of these sections, but I'm also seeing their agreement form and their thank you letter that comes after the fact. So this is everything that is out there that's built for this application process. Staff section, of course, the applicants aren't seeing that. They're not seeing these two sections right now because these are tagged to only show when they hit a certain status. So if they're obviously they're not at that status at this stage right now, so they're not seeing this. But since I'm the admin, I'm seeing everything that went in the application setting here, everything that's been marked active. So if it has an active check mark, it's going to show on that dashboard. So if you don't want to see the agreement forms yet, you don't want to see the thank you letters, you haven't released those to your applicants, they're not active, then you can just come here and unselect these and save. And then when you're ready to release them to the applicants, because of course you can see I have different dates, due dates on some of these, that I don't want to release it until it's almost time for them to complete it. So then you would want to make sure you come here and reselect them and hit save so that the applicant can see them as well. But that's just one rule of caution, or not caution, but just something that some people say, well, why am I seeing these? The applicants don't see them. Why am I seeing them? Because you're the admin and you're going in from the back end and you're seeing everything that's currently active for the applicants to complete for the entire application process. Now, one thing also you want to use caution is if I am an admin and I click in maybe on this section, maybe I want to see, oh, how'd they do personal information? I didn't do the summary, I'm just looking at it. You're on their dashboard. So if you go in here and you accidentally type something in one of these boxes, you're changing their application. You are on their application and you have the ability to make those changes. So anytime you're in here, if you're just looking around, always make sure you hit the return to dashboard and do not hit the save unless you've meant to make a change and you want to save that change, of course. So anytime you're in here, don't hit save or save return, just in case you've accidentally tabbed through something. Maybe you deleted a question that they answered. So you don't want to accidentally do that. So that's why this return to dashboard is nice. It takes you back to that location on their to the dashboard without making any changes on accident. Now, the next question that may come up when you're looking at their dashboard is then, what about their attachments? Maybe you have attachments that you're wanting and you need to see those attachments that they've uploaded to their application form. So to get those, you do notice here we have a preview application. This is the exact same preview that we just looked at on the Manage Applicants, where we clicked on the name and that preview came up. If I hit this preview application, and this will be the same whether you're on this page doing it or if you're on the Manage Applicants page and you're clicking their name to get the summary, it's going to be the same functionality to get those attachments. So if I scroll through, anywhere where there was a question that required an attachment, like for this one here, you can see here's that attachment attached. I can click on it here, or I can go ahead and go all the way down to the bottom of that document and I can see all of their attachments that they've attached, and I can access them this way. Now, when you do the PDF, you do get a PDF of the entire document and attachments, but of course, they're always in a PDF format. So this is nice if you need to, maybe you're getting an Excel document and you need it in that Excel format so that you can plug it into maybe a workbook or a worksheet that you've created. So that's how you would get those in the format that they uploaded them. And so, of course, here, these are docs. This is a PDF. And then, of course, you can see when they uploaded it, the size of that document, and what question it went to. And then it's just a matter of clicking on it. And then once you click on it, it's going to download it to your local computer so that you have it to where you can click on it and open it up so that they can see that. So that's how you get those documents. Now, what about staff sections? So some of you have staff sections. The applicant doesn't see those sections. So then how do you as a staff member go in and complete them? Well, just like we did, you're going to that individual that needs to have access to staff sections needs to be able to have access in their user account. So if you're not the global admin, maybe you've created some department admin accounts. So you want to make sure they have access to get to the Manage Applicants screen if they need to complete staff sections. Now, this isn't your reviewers. This is different from your review process. This is an internal admin that works for your organization. The admin, they have admin status to the back end of the site, not reviewers. So if you have staff sections that they're completing, then they do have to have access to that Manage Applicants screen. And then when they come to the applicant screen, they do need to click on the icon to take them to their dashboard here. And then once they're here, this is where that staff section is. They click on the section, that's the staff section, that's just for the staff member. And then they can complete the questions that you need staff members to complete. So these staff sections are always nice for you as an admin to monitor as admins questions that things that you want to keep track of at each individual applicant. Then you create the staff sections, build the questions for your staff members, and then you can go ahead and complete this. And some of our clients even add to this, maybe they want to know when did they send the check to the school for scholarships or your grant. When did you send the check to the organization? You can add questions here, and then when that check gets sent, you can come here and add more data as needed so that you have it all available. And the applicant, remember, the applicant does not see this section. It is a hidden section when you build it. When you build that section, there's a way to make a staff section that isn't visible by the applicant, but this is how you as an admin would complete those. Now, if you have request sections, so request sections are those sections where an applicant cannot see the section. They request an individual to complete the section on their behalf. This is different from a collaborator. So you grant users, if you have collaboration, this is different. Collaboration, they're given access directly to a section that the applicant has access to. This is a private section, usually used for letters of recommendation, where the applicant doesn't see what's being answered. And so then how is you as an admin, how do you know who they invited to complete it, where they are in the process, the person that they requested to complete it, where are they in that process? Especially with high school counselors or school counselors, you may need to know who it was that the applicant asked to complete a recommendation letter. You can see who they did that to, and then you can reach out and say, it's getting close to the deadline. You need to get your students' request sections done so that they can be able to submit their application forms and be on time. So you can kind of follow through with that. So how do you see that? How do you monitor that from the back end? The applicant, when they're completing their dashboard, they don't see these two sections. They're completely blank. They don't see them. They're just two little icons that say request section. They click on those icons, and when they click on the icon, they see, and if I click here on this request section, this is what your applicant's going to see. And so this is how you get to that. So of course, you as an admin, you're on the back end. You're looking at their dashboard. I'll go back to the dashboard here. You're seeing the two sections, and you can see if they've been completed or not. You actually have the ability to go in and click on those sections and see how they were answered so that you know how they've answered those. But maybe you come in here and you see they haven't been done yet. Well, you can actually click this request section and you can see the status of everything that's going on with those recommendations, just like the applicant can. So I can see, did the applicant request them? So if they didn't request them, this would be blank. I can see this applicant's requested both of them. Have they been received? So the received, when this says received, that means that both of those have been completed. So we saw that was 100%. But if it says requested, then that would mean that the applicant has requested this individual to complete the sections, but we haven't received them yet. And of course, you can see when did the applicant, oh, they're waiting till the last minute to ask this person. So of course, they're not going to get them by deadline date. And then you'll be able to see the date that that individual, the recommended individual, actually completed it as well. Now, something else you're going to see here, another little column that the applicants do not see. This is the access code. So this code is a private code. As this is a private section, applicants, you do not want to give this to your applicants to give to your recommenders. This is a code that if a recommender contacts you, and this is in our email templates as well has this code, because a lot of people, they can't click a link within an email. They'll click the link and their security on their site says, sorry, there's no access to this link. So this access code is also a field. So if you have email templates, go to your requested request from applicants email template and make sure you have this code in there for those individuals, especially counselors, organizations out there, your grant users. Make sure that if you're using these sections, this access code is, if they're banks or something with a high security, then they're going to have this access code too. So this is a field that is included in our templates when you get our site. But this code, if you give it to an applicant, they will be able to access that section and complete it themselves. So you don't want to give that to them. That's what this code is all about. And on the login screen, if you go to the login screen, I'll go ahead and log out of the the grant site here to make it so we're not bouncing back and forth. There's a little button right here that says nominate or login. Now there is a field in the email template that they will click and it'll automatically take them to this nominator login page. And then that's where they would actually enter that code. So if they can enter the link in their browser, the URL to the site, then once they get there, it'll take them and it'll pull up the screen where they'll be able to enter that access code and log into the exact section that they need to log into. So they would enter the code here, hit submit, and then it's going to take them to a screen of all of their recommendations that they need to complete. Okay, and then this resend, a lot of times our clients, so like I'm logged in as Community Force Support. So anytime you hit the resend, it's going to resend the request to this individual, but it's not going to come from the applicant any longer. It always looks at the individual that's signed in and sends the message from the person that is signed in. So it would say Community Force Support has requested that you complete this section on their behalf. Well, they're not going to know who that is. They're looking for the applicant's name and they're not seeing it, so that now they're confused and they're going to contact you. So anytime you hit this, always make sure it's because you've had contact with this individual, and be sure and tell them that it's going to be coming from you, but that it's that individual's application request form that they're to complete. So that's something else you want to make note of. Now, if I go all the way back to the Manage Applicants screen, there are some little quick reviews that you can look at, some little quick things. So you're going to see, if you have request sections, you're going to see this requested and this received. When it says 100% requested, that means the applicants requested it. So all of these, I know the applicant has requested the sections to be completed. But this one I can see, okay, I had 2 request sections. They must have only done 1. I can look over here. I can see it's 100% received. So they've requested all their recommendations. They've also received them all. This one, they've requested them, but nobody's done them. This one, he's only requested 1, and of course they haven't done it. So that's kind of gives you a nice quick overview. Now there's also drill down. So maybe this one, I see they requested it. So I can click on it. I can click on either one of those numbers and that'll take me to this page as well. Another quick access that takes you to that page. And then you can see, okay, yeah, they did request. They did it on the 29th. So they, of course, haven't had enough time to do it yet, and nothing's been received yet. And then you can always reach out to her and say, hey, they're needing that request section done. So that's those request sections. So I'm going to go back here. And now let's talk about the next thing that is important that you might want to do on the site here. And that's regarding status and status details. So status and status details are very important because they allow you to see quickly where the applicant is in your application process. So a status is something that is predefined from our site. We have predefined statuses. Certain events occur. When that event occurs in our system and you're processing something in our system, and I'll talk about what those are here in a second, the system will automatically move them to the next status. However, status details are predefined by you as an organization. You can have as many status details as you wish. We won't get into how to build those, but you do have the ability to create your own so that when someone's in between specific statuses, maybe you want to know they're under committee review. Maybe you have multiple levels to your review process. What they're in committee review, yeah, but what level are they at? You can actually create status details so that you can help keep track of your applicants in that manner. And those are something that you would definitely create yourself. And so when you are on an application, any reports that we pretty much have the status and status detail in those reports so that you can quickly see the applicants and what's happening with them. So here's the status column. I can see all of my applicants. And if I have status details, I would see those here in this column here. Now, if I jump over here to the filter, we do have the ability, maybe you only want to see all your pending submission. You can come here, hit pending submission, and then it'll filter and give you just those. And so you can just kind of hit all of these. So just a quick overview of what some of these are and what they mean. So we have pending submission. So that means that application has been started but not completed. They have not hit the submit button. Submitted means they've completed their application as a whole. They've clicked the submit button and it's 100% completed, and that's where you'll see the date here as to when that has happened. Additional info requested, so that's going to go when we release a section a little bit later on here in our session. You'll see that they're going to go to additional info requested. That's because you've released the section. So if you ever see this, that means that someone in your organization has released a section to them to be completed. Withdrawn means the applicant completed their application, they submitted their application, but then they withdrew it. So if they withdraw it after they submit it, then it won't be completely deleted, but it may have a status of withdrawn. Very rare that you're ever going to see this. That's why when you get into our, when we talked about setting up the rollover, if you were in our rollover session a week or so ago, or if depending on what if you're doing a one-to-one or one-to-many, that's why we say use withdrawn for your criteria and your one-to-many fund criteria when you're not using that, because that would be a status they would hardly ever be at. Okay, under committee review, that's what we're going to learn about in a couple of weeks. Once you put someone into a review committee and they're in that review, they've been assigned to a committee member to be reviewed, they're going to be in under review. Selected for an award means you've actually awarded them in the Community Force site using our award process. And then along with the award process, we have the ability to where you can have sections, and then after they've been awarded, there'll be two buttons, an award accepted and an award declined, that show up on their dashboard in the upper right-hand corner. And then when they click award accepted, their status will go to award accepted, and you know they selected it. If they hit declined, you know that they've declined their award, and then you'll be able to see that as well. You'll be able to see that status. Now the status here, not selected for an award, is not an automatic. That's there because you as an admin will probably want to know who you might see somebody who's awarded, and then you're completely done and you're looking and it's like, why didn't I give them an award? Well, you can actually physically add a status of not selected for an award. And then request pending, you're going to see I have someone request pending. And so I have the default when you get the site is when you have request sections, it automatically defaults that they can submit the application form if the request is 100%. So once they've requested their recommenders to complete a section, they have the ability to hit submit and submit their application form, and then you can see that they haven't gotten the actual received yet. When that happens, instead of being submitted for the status, it's going to go to request pending. So that tells you, okay, they've submitted, they're 100% done themselves. They're just waiting on the recommender to complete that section. Now that is something that can be turned off or on. So depending on your process, to where if you can even have it to where they can't even submit if it hasn't been received. So that's something, if you wanted that turned off or on, you could enter a support ticket and we can assist you in that. And then, so that's what, and then these here, since we're in the filtering, it allows you to maybe you want to see the submitted and request pending because they're kind of the same. You can see that, or maybe you're have multiple process. As soon as they apply, they go into review. So you might want to see who submitted, and under committee review, you can actually filter on that as well. Those are two additional filterings we allow. And then of course, if you want to filter, like I said, you just click it and then it'll sort to those. Now, if you're using status details, you will have to manually put that detail on your applicants. You can do multiple at a time. And then status, maybe you need to change the status, like not selected for an award. How do you do that? So whether it's a status or a status detail, you will need to select the applicant. So over here is a selection column. You can do this per page if you want. Maybe you filtered all your statuses, and everybody who's pending submission, you need to move to a physical status. So you can actually select one applicant, or you can select multiple. And whoever's selected on that page will make that change will happen to that individual. So this, for instance, this one here, I see he's 100% received. I go into his dashboard. And once I get to his dashboard, I see everything's done up to the stage that needs to be done. He just maybe forgot to hit submit. So more than likely, you're going to contact them and click submit. I mean, have him click the submit. But maybe if you want to, or maybe you feel nice that day, I mean, you would want to do it for all of your applicants, of course. But it's past the deadline and he can't submit, but you've talked to them and you're okay with moving them to submitted. So all you need to do to make a change in a status is make sure you select the individual, come up here to either the change status or status detail, whatever it is you're wanting to change, hit the drop down, select the status you want to move them to, and then you're going to see the blue button, change status detail over here. You hit that. When you hit that, a comment box opens up. And then here you can put what you want it to say. Something to that extent. Okay. Now, whatever you put here, you can leave this blank and the applicant will not see it. Anytime you have a comment box and you see this show to applicant, if you want your applicant to see it, you can put a selection box in there and then they'll see that on their side. They have a location where they can see on an application form comments, and anything you've selected to show to an applicant, anytime you enter a comment like this and you click show to applicant, they will be able to see that. So here's my comment. I'm going to have it be visible to my applicant. I'm going to hit save. And then as soon as I did that, notice their status moved. It shows a submittal date now. And then over here is that comment. And then of course, if you have multiple comments, multiple things you've done with those comment boxes, when you click on that comment, it will give you the detailed listing of all of the comments that you've given them. So that's how you change their statuses. Now, the next thing I want to talk about before we move on to the break is with the PDFs. So a PDF will give you a copy of the entire application form and all the attachments. Over here on this little button here is where you can get those. We have 3 different types: applicant, reviewer, and admin. What the difference is there's sections that the applicant sees, like a staff section. So if I didn't want the applicant to get the printout with the staff section, I would select my applicant here, and then I would say applicant PDF. If this is going to the reviewers, there's sections I want the reviewers to see, but you do have the ability to hide from a reviewer any questions or sections from that reviewer. And so the reviewer PDF would only give you the sections that the reviewers are allowed to see. And then, of course, the admin's going to give you everything. So this hides all non-applicant visible sections. This hides everything that's hidden from the reviewers. And then the PDF gives you the entire application form. So all you need to do is just select the applicant you want the PDF for. You can do multiple at a time if you want. We'll talk about the batch here in a second. But then you just come here, decide which one you want, select that PDF, and then it's going to download it to your local computer. And then once it downloads it, you can open it up. And then that's where you're going to see the entire application form in a PDF format. And then you're going to notice that it also has the attachments as well. So there's those attachments along with that document. Now, if you want a batch, it's just a matter of coming here and selecting multiple applicants, hitting the batch that you want. There's a batch reviewer, a batch admin. Click that, and then instead of downloading an individual document, what it's going to do is, oops, let me batch admin, hit that. And then once it's done running here, we'll wait for it to run. It's going to give us a folder. It's going to actually download the folder like this right here. There's a zipped folder onto my local computer. I can open up that folder, and then it'll have those PDFs in there for me as well. Okay, so I am now going to stop here and take a quick break and see what questions we have that have come in. It's all yours, Maureen.
Thank you so much, Christine. Okay, we do have some questions, interesting ones here. How do I delete an application? I know the applicant will not be moving forward in the application, and I want to go ahead and delete this applicant's application. Now, as Christine has shown you, there is a trash can on the Manage Application screen. Towards the rightmost corner, you are seeing the trash can. You can delete that applicant. One thing that we always encourage our clients from doing is deleting anything from the system. Once deleted, it's not possible to restore. I mean, it might take some effort, but even then we cannot guarantee that the information can be restored. In such a case, we recommend you move them into a completely different pool, that is status. Right? You can delete them if you're absolutely sure this applicant is not moving forward into the process of the application. They're not going to be awarded. They're not going to be moving into the evaluation process. So as Christine has showed, you can select the applicant name and filter. Thank you so much for demonstrating that, Christine. Yeah, filter, and you can change their status. You can put them into withdrawn or maybe add a custom status, which, as Christine has mentioned, we'll cover in the future sessions, how to create custom statuses. And then you can assign a custom status detail, not status detail to these applicants as well. So you can have them, but move them out of the way. Okay, so that's just a suggestion. If you still are 100% sure, go ahead and delete the record. Okay. I can see the post-awarding information on the applicant's dashboard. How do I make sure the applicants are not seeing this information? As Christine has showed, there's thank you letters, the award agreement, post-award reporting for grants. That information, as an admin, if you notice, there's the applicant's dashboard that you see plus more. Always remember the admin is going to see plus more than what the applicant sees. Plus more is all the sections that might be hidden from the applicants. One thing that Christine has shown is, or is she taking us to that screen, is you want to make sure that the applicant's statuses are in the right place, right? The section status and the applicant status, only if they match, only then the applicants will be able to see. For example, if an applicant has been selected for an award, only then these applicants will see the post-awarding information or the awarding information, that is award agreement or the thank you letters. So those, the section status and applicant status, when they match, only then these sections will be visible. So you can be sure as long as the section status. Thank you so much, Christine. Thank you for coming here. So section settings, section, here we are. Now, if you see there's a statuses, selected for award, award accepted or award declined. So those are the only pool of applicants who are going to see this information. You don't have to worry that, oh my God, my post awarding information is out there on the dashboard. As long as this is covered with your applicants, you don't have to worry. However, if you want to go ahead and deactivate that section and only make them active during the appropriate time, do that as well. And then you can use the notify option to notify your applicants. I think I've covered most of the questions, Christine. I'll let you take that back. Thank you, everyone. I can't hear
And
you,
thank you,
Christine. If you're
Maureen. Thank you
okay,
so much,
all
Maureen.
right.
Sorry, I was wanting to close something out here real quick. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue then. So now we'll just kind of talk about, first of all, we'll talk about how to release a section. So the section release, what that is applicants submitted their application form. You have a lock after submit. So you're going through, maybe there's an attachment you realize maybe, or you needed to get something else from them. And so this isn't something you want to do because this is going to cause issues if you're not knowing what you're doing. But maybe later on you'd realize, you know what, I need to get something else from all my applicants or one of my applicants. You can release a section back to them and allow them to re-enter an attachment. They would have to go in after you've released that section, they can remove it and re-upload a new document if you realize that you needed something else from them. Maybe they upload the wrong year and you want to tell them, okay, no, you need this document, not that one. Let's switch those out. I'll release the section back to you so you can do that. So how do you do that? How do you release sections? So there's two different areas on our site you can do that. Within Manage Applications itself, you have a released section here where you can click this No. Once you click the No, this section, this screen will open, and I'll talk about what this screen is here when I tell the other way that you can access this. And then you can release sections this way, exact same way. Or if I go over here, there's a section release. And this section release will show you all the applicants, and what it does is once you start releasing sections, it'll divide them. It'll have at the top the ones that aren't released, and at the bottom it'll have the ones that are released. So if you've released a bunch of sections and now you're like, okay, who all's been released? I don't want to scroll through hundreds of pages of my applicants. Maybe I don't want to filter everybody and additional information. You can come here and see who's still out there in the released pool. So to release the section again, here's that no, same thing on this page. If I click this released column and I click no, means it's not released. Once I release a section, it's going to put that to yes. So if I hit no here, it's going to open up that same screen we just had a minute ago. And so here it's going to tell me all my sections that I have on the site, even the ones that aren't visible to them. Of course, since I have them activated, I'm going to see those. And so then the section I want to release, I just select it. Once I select it, and you can do multiple sections at a time, maybe you want to get some more financial information. Maybe there's a question in the financial information that once they answer it, that's going to activate something in an essay. So you want to make sure that if that activates something, that you want to make sure and open up both of those sections so they can do both of the areas they need to complete. And then once you open them up, I'm going to go ahead and close this one, but once you open those sections, you can give them a deadline date to complete that. So I'm going to give them, maybe I want to give them till the 5th to complete that section. And the next step down here is the comment field. So there is an email that goes out with this in the notification center. And it's important in that email template, it's additional information that you have the field comments. There's a field in there. So some of our clients have taken that out. And then when these go, the applicant doesn't know what to do. This comment box is very important because this is where you're going to give them the details. Why are you releasing the section to them? This is where you type the reason why you're releasing it and what they need to do. So that's very important to make sure you keep that in that template, that field that says comments. So I'm just going to do something. Okay, and then over here, you can actually preview it so you can see what it's going to say. There's those comments I just put in there. So I know my template has those in there, so I'm good. You can close the preview and then you can save it, but if you save it, it's not going to send an email. So they're not going to know, they're not going to get an email telling them that it's released. If you've talked to them and told them and called them, then they would know it was released and they can go back in. Save an email will save this and it will send that email to them. So, and I'm just going to click that and it's going to tell me and then the date that it's been released. And then I'm going to hit send email for that confirmation. And now you're going to see on this screen, this is the section release. It's going to show me who's released and who's not. So now I can monitor my releases. You'll notice over here, if I hit this comments, actually I need to do that from my manage applicants screen here. So here you'll see here, there's that comment I put in there for that applicant. And then also I'll be able to see released yes as well. So this tells me I can come here, and then you'll notice also their status here on the screen now is additional info requested. So this, anybody who says yes, additional info requested is in a released status. Now it's past the deadline, they haven't done it. You will have to go in and manually click the yes on either one of those screens, and then you can remove this, and then once you remove it, it'll take it off, hit save, and it will no longer be released to that applicant. And then it's now back to the status it was at the last before you went to release it. So that is section release. Another nice report we wanted to show you that is helpful when monitoring applicants is the section status report. So the section status report gives you a detail of all your applicants, all the sections in their application, and what's the status of those. So if I go to that, it's going to be here in Manage Reports. And it does take, if you have a lot of stuff going on your site, a big application process with a lot of logic and hundreds of applicants. When you click this button, it could take a while. So usually we'll say click it when you're leaving for the day, let it run overnight. When you come in the morning, it'll be there. Or if it's not you don't have a lot of applicants like I don't on this application, then I can just go get a cup of coffee, come back, and it'll be there. But this is what it looks like. It gives you all of your applicants. It tells you each section that they have on their site that's active and where they are. 100% means it's done. This one, okay, they've only done 13%. So you can just give you a nice big picture of what's happening at that current moment with your application process. How close are they to getting done with their application process? If you come here and you see a lot of pending submission, but nobody's done anything, getting close to maybe deadline, that's when it might be a good idea to send an email out to all of them and say, hey, what's going on? Why haven't you completed your application form? It might even alert you. They've started it, but nobody's done anything. What's going on? Why is nobody going anywhere with this application process? Hopefully somebody would have contacted you though and let you and say, hey, give you some heads up that they can't get in or something. The next report, the next couple are global managed applicants. So global manage applicants is the same as the manage applicants on the application form. But what Global Manage Applicants does is it allows you to access more than one application at a time. You can click an application, view it, click another one, view it. You're not going in and out. You're not going out back to the home page, looking for the application, clicking on it, then going into Manage Applications and viewing it. Manage Applicants is going to be up here in the global reports. So anytime you see global, that means it gives you data over maybe multiple funds, or you can access data over the global site, multiple applications. So if I click global reports, you're going to see all these global reports. We're going to focus on the manage applicants today. It's the same functionality as the other manage applicants on the individual application. But what's nice about this one is you can actually see for an entire academic year, maybe. You have maybe 20 applications live at the same time. You don't want to have to go back and forth, like I said, back to the home, click on the name and find it. You can actually come here, click that year, click OK. And once you click, whoops, that list, it'll then give you the listing of applications available during that period. And then you can just come here, you can click the name. Once you click the name, it'll give you the applicants for that, if I can find one that I have actual applicants for. Here, there is that, and then I can go out, I can go into another one, get to that one, and then just kind of keep clicking and going back and forth to getting to all those applications and see those. So that's the global manage applicants. Same functionality, click on the name here, take you to the application summary. You can do release a section from this. You can get to their dashboard. You can see their scorecard. You still have a lot of that same functionality as you do on the manage applicants individual per application. This gives you access to all of them. The other report here, this recommender report, if you have those request sections, this is a nice report because what it does is it gives you all, and now this is per academic year. Unfortunately, you can't do it just per application, but you can select the academic year. And then what it will do is give you the request sections of all of the requestees for, and it does give you the application name. So you can come here and you can sort all your applications together. You can see who's been recommended and where they are in the process, what's been requested, what's been received, the date that this is due. And you can actually export this to Excel. And then what's nice about that is when you export it to Excel, you can actually do an email merge outside of the system, of course, and email like your counselors and say, hey, here's the list of all of your students you still have recommendations to do on. So that's what that recommender history report does. It gives you the history of all the recommendation sections you have out there and what's the status of those. And then the final thing I want to talk about here, so that was the recommender report. But then the final one I want to talk about is the global search for applicants. So again, you could have multiple applications. An applicant leaves a message on your voicemail and says, hey, I can't get into my application form. My name is such and such, and I need assistance. Well, you've got 10 applications. You don't know which one he needs. You can come up here to this search applicants, type in their name, and that'll give you the history of all their applications in the entire site. So you can see, okay, I know this is my 24-25 period. You can click on their name, and then you can see all the applications they've done, and then be able to access, if I go to the next page here, the application form maybe that they're asking a question about. So you'll be able to go in and then view their dashboard or their application, scroll through it, and find the one if you can't get a hold of them for some reason. So that's what that does. So that's it. That's all I have to show you for today for the manage applicants. I'll go ahead and turn it over, Maureen, for the final questions, and then we'll close.
Thank you, Christine. Okay, we do have a few questions. This is related to the request section. So the question here is, I see the applicant has submitted the application, but the status is still showing as request pending. Now, previously, as Christine has mentioned, there is a site setting that drives this applicants to allow their applications to be submitted without getting the request sections completed. That's a setting that's present on the administration tab. Now, if that is enabled, the applicants will be allowed to submit the applications. Now, in such a case, because now the deadline date has passed, right? Applicant is submitted, but the request section is showing as request pending. What do you do in this case, right? What you're going to do is you can use the section release functionality, right? Because we understand that the recommender or the guidance counselor or whoever this request section was sent out to probably completed the request section but never actually clicked on submit. So what you can do is release the section back to the applicant. You're not going to release the section back to the recommender. It will go indirectly to the recommender. So using the section release functionality, as Christine is showing here. Sorry, Christine, you're showing the settings. Sorry about that. Yeah, please go ahead.
I was just showing where in the administration tab, that site setting,
Yes.
the
That's important.
nomination
That's
is,
important.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we'll
So
go
I was
back to
reading
the
the
site.
question. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay. Let's go back. And as Christine has shown, you're going to use the same process. Pick your applicant, click the no, and open the section, the recommender section or the request section. And when you're notifying the applicant, you can add the comments wherein you can mention, now please reach out to the the recommender, the reference letter that you're going to get, or the guidance counselor, or the head of your organization, whoever the section is going to be released to. So it's the same process. It's just
Okay.
that with the request section. Sorry, Christine, please go ahead.
And I just want to add in here, this is something I wanted to say, and when I was going over this and you just brought it to mind. If you have
Mm-hmm.
a recommendation, a letter recommendation that's been completed, if you release this, it will undo that letter recommendation that's been done already.
Okay.
That section will be cleared, and then they have to re-recommend somebody to do that section.
Stop. Thank you so much,
Okay.
Christine. Yes,
Yeah.
that clarifies the question. Okay, so section release can be used in all of the sections, except with, as Christine has mentioned, with the request sections, you have to be careful with that. Okay, this another question says, some of the documents that my applicants have uploaded are not getting, they're not showing on my PDF copy. Well, ideally, the system is constantly syncing. So your PDF copies, your applicant's documents should show up on the PDF copy that you're getting from the system. If you're still not getting, give the system a little bit of time. Whatever documents get uploaded first will get synced first. Always remember that. And if some documents are heavy, the system might take a little bit of time. And even after that, you're not getting the documents in your PDF copy, open a ticket with us on Zendesk. Our support team is here, our support specialists, they will get back to you and resolve the make sure that you have access to that document. Okay, I have just one last question. I won't hold you all longer. I think request section is done. I am trying to pull the report on the section status report, right, as Christine has shown, but I'm not getting the report at all. Like it just loads, but you're not getting. As you know, this is a very resource intensive report. You have to make sure that you leave the system aside and don't continue clicking on the section status report again and again. One click, leave the system, and you should get the report after some time. If you're still not able to get it, reach out to us on Zendesk. We will provide the report to you from the back end. Okay, because we don't want you all to be waiting and not getting this information. That was about the section status report. I think I'm done, Christine. The rest of the answers have been given in the Q&A box. Whoever has asked, I think we're good then. Thank you,
Oh,
everyone.
very good. Yes. Thank you so much, Maureen, for answering those questions so clearly. I always appreciate your help and diligence in getting those questions answered in the background too, as well. So if you had a question, the answer, she's also typed in there. If you didn't hear an answer to yours today, that'll be in that as well. So, of course, thank you everyone for attending today's session. If you get a copy of the handout, there are resources here. Of course, we don't have time to go into all the details on how-tos on things. So those links are here that take you directly to webinars videos that we've held in the past, and then help guide links to our Zendesk, FAQs, and so forth that are out there on Zendesk that are available. Those click links will take you to those specific areas in Zendesk so that you can access them. And then, of course, if any of you have any questions about anything that we covered today, maybe something that you think might be of benefit to you, then, of course, please feel free to enter a support ticket in Zendesk, and then somebody can assist you as well. If there's something in regards to a process, maybe there was a process that we discussed that you might think might work for you, you can always also enter a support ticket and ask for a client support specialist to reach out to you, and then they can go over in more detail how that functionality works and whether or not it's a good fit for you. So again, I want to thank everyone for their time. I will be starting next month. We will start getting into the next steps of your process. So applicants are applying. How do you set up the evaluation process? So we'll talk about that first. Next month, we'll talk about the one-to-many process, how to set up the evaluation process. And then the next week, we'll talk about if you have a one-to-many process, how to set up that evaluation process. And then the following month, we'll get into, now that you've set it up, you've assigned it, how do you monitor those reviewers, and how do you see the results of the scoring if you had the scoring rubrics and so forth set up with those. So that'll be coming up in the next 2 months. We'll be covering the evaluation process, and then of course after that we'll get into how to award your applicants. So thank you all for your diligent patience with us today. And also I appreciate all the questions that came in today. It's very nice when we have questions like this, because it lets us know that you are enjoying the webinar, as well as getting your questions answered. So that's what the whole purpose of this is so that you can learn to better utilize our system. So thank you everyone for your time, and we'll go ahead and close the session for today. And there will be a little quick survey. If you can, please go ahead and fill that out, because that does tell us what your needs are and what is something that you might like to see in a future webinar, so that we can benefit you. Because that's what this, like I said, it's all about our clientele, and we want to do what helps you the best. So thank you so much for your time. Everyone have a good day.